Lots of college football talk, realignment talk. We're ready to do it here on the Press Row, which is sponsored by Cox High-Speed Internet. I'm Barry Trammell, along with sports editor Mike Sherman, sitting in for Jenny Carlson. It's time for the inbox section of our show, and that's where we hear from you, the readers. And we want to answer your emails. Let's get right to them. Tim asked the question, all of this realignment talk is making me crazy. I have been supportive of keeping the Big 12, 10, 9 together, but after further review, I believe OU, OSU, and Mizzou should go to the Southeastern Conference. It would be a tougher conference, but would be stable, exciting, and best for the schools in the long run. I think we will regret it if we don't. What say you, boss?
I say he's right. It would be more stable. It would be more exciting. But I've heard you say this, Barry. Unless OU's planning on a coaching change, they better not do it. Bob Stoops doesn't seem like he wants any part of this, although as a fan or as a writer about it, look, we've had a lot more good football games.
There's just no energy on the OU campus for the SEC. Not from the administration, not from the coaches. This is all coming from the fan base, and I applaud you. I support you. I appreciate your enthusiasm. But I just see this as a non-starter. They're not interested in going to the SEC. They don't like the recruiting culture of the SEC. Bob Stoops doesn't like the tougher road to championships. Oklahoma would do well in the SEC. They would hold more than hold their own. They might be the best program in the SEC. But they wouldn't win 7 SEC titles in 11 years. They might win 3 in 11 years, and people would not be happy with that.
But they're not going to become Arkansas. And Missouri is Arkansas. And Oklahoma State's on the rise. I actually don't think the competitiveness would be as bad as people think. I also don't think the recruiting culture may be as bad as people think. Isn't it a possibility that maybe they class up the joint a little bit? There's more programs like Oklahoma in there. Of course, Oklahoma's not without its own problems. I just think when your choices are bologna or steak, sometimes you eat steak. And the SEC, competitively speaking and excitement speaking, looks more like steak right now.
I had an OU administrator tell me that Bob Stoops' job is to win championships, and our job is to not make it hard on him. I think that's why the SEC goes by the wayside. All right, next question.
Bill says Boone Pickens with his press release is mudding the waters, in my thoughts. Should he stick to his business and let the various school officials and newspaper writers do their jobs?
I'm going to say no, he shouldn't. I love it when Boone talks, as long as we realize what the truth is. Boone Pickens doesn't have much influence when it comes to conference realignment. He's got a lot of influence at OSU. Boone Pickens, when he talks, Burns Hargis, Mike Holder, Mike Gundy listen. But the other places in the Big 12 don't really listen to Boone all that much. We saw that with Texas A&M. You think David Boren is actually listening to Boone Pickens? Boone Pickens does not have much say in this Big 12 realignment. And when he starts talking about reconfiguring the Southwest Conference with SMU and Houston, that's when people really turn off and don't listen to Boone.
He's not always right, but he's right a lot of the times. Hey, Barry, what conference are the Sooners and Cowboys in right now?
Well, the Big 12 is the name. The number is fluid.
Okay, they're still in the Big 12, which a couple weeks ago, Boone Pickens went on national TV and said they need to stay right where they need to stay in the Big 12. And everybody said, oh, they're gone. They're gone to the Pac-12. Our writers said Boone doesn't always get what he wants. He has so far on this conference realignment. Oklahoma State's in the same conference they were 2 months ago, and that's what Boone Pickens wants. As far as letting sports writers do their jobs, I'm all for that. But I also say this. Listen to the man. He's entertaining, and just because he acts like your crazy uncle doesn't mean he always is your crazy uncle.
Right. Boone hasn't got everything he wants. He wanted A&M to stay too. All right, next question. Let's go to Daryl. How many times has one player fumbled the ball forward and out of the end zone for a touchback and also run the ball for a safety or by any other means? Is Justin Blackman the only player to ever do both in the same game?
Okay. I'm a Baltimore Colts fan. I watched Super Bowl V. It was called the Blunder Bowl. I could swear I saw plays close to that. I think Eddie Hinton fumbled the ball through the end zone for a touchback. Crazy plays. All kinds of crazy plays in that game. but I've never seen one player do what Blackman did in the same game. I've never even seen a play like what Blackman ran in that game, let alone the fumbling through the end zone. So the answer is no, and I don't think they keep stats on it.
I have no idea how to look it up, but isn't it fun to think about? And think about this. Justin Blackman's two plays, one where he fumbles a ball out of the end zone and where he runs in for safety on the game's last play, they occurred on the same patch of grass. Same end zone, south end zone there at Kyle Field, and the same side. Maybe the same little patch of grass. So a crazy, crazy little piece of real estate for Justin Blackman. How much better off if he would have just reversed what he did with the ball for each play? Hang on to the ball when he's running in for a touchdown, and it's 7 points for the Cowboys. And when he's about to run away from the, get rid of the ball, just throw it out of the end zone, and it's the same safety as we got. So Justin Blackman, a crazy, crazy day at College Station. Just for Justin Blackman's sake, I'm glad the Cowboys won. He would have been an all-time GOAT if the Cowboys had lost that game.
I saw that play on replay, Barry. Didn't he almost run over you when he ran through the safety?
Ran right at me. I almost reached up and tackled him, so good thing I didn't. Hey, let's get to the next question, and we'll go to John. I can't think of a better leader in terms of vocal and performance leadership than Travis Lewis. Has Oklahoma ever had a player who could top TL? I can't think of any since 1970.
Tough one. During the Bob Stoops era, he's had lots of really good linebackers. I think Rocky Kalmus was a great linebacker. I think Roy Williams was a great linebacker masquerading as a safety, or the other way around. But Travis Lewis is setting the bar pretty high. And Barry, I don't go back as far as you, but I know this, he's right there with a lot of the greats.
Well, he's a fabulous leader, no doubt about it, but let's have a little perspective. Can I throw out a few names for you? How about Brian Bosworth? Brian Bosworth talked. He makes Travis Lewis look like a wallflower. In case we've forgotten, the Boss could play a little linebacker. Best linebacker, most decorated linebacker in college football the last 25 years. A two-time Butkus winner. A fabulous player. He ran his mouth all day. You want a defensive leader who did it on the field and with his vocal leadership? How about Lucius Selman? Lucius Selman didn't run his mouth all the time, but let me tell you what, when he opened that mouth, everybody on the field listened, including the opponents. He would stand up on the bus and quiet the whole bus on the way. There's been a lot of leaders. Travis Lewis, an unquestioned leader, but Sooner football's had a bunch of good leaders.
And it's good that you brought up Brian Bosworth, because really, the lasting memory of the Boz is getting run over by Bo Jackson and flopping in the NFL. But you're right, Barry. He was an unbelievable college football player, an unbelievable linebacker who is tainted somewhat by his outlandish things. I mean, the haircut's one thing, but the T-shirt he wore after he was suspended for steroids, that unfortunately is a bad aftertaste that Boz left. That should really not rank. I mean, he was a leader and a heck of a football player. I'm glad you brought him up.
And frankly, if we want to look at offense, Barry Switzer had his share of quarterbacks / leaders / preachers, guys that knew how to play and communicate. J.C. Watts, Steve Davis. Leadership has not been lacking in Oklahoma football the last 40 years. Great questions. Keep sending them in. Send me emails. btramel@opubco.com. We'll answer your emails here on the Press Row. Stay tuned for further coverage of college football here on News OK and every day in the Oklahoman. And remember, Press Row is brought to you by Cox High-Speed Internet.